So today, health officials held an emergency meeting following the death of a child at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, suspected to have been caused by the Ebola virus. Samples from the child have already been sent to the Noguchi Research Center, and today members of the press were addressed to the detail of this test. We are joined over the telephone by Yafusua Jimfi, who was there for us. Thank you very much, Ya, for joining us here.
Good afternoon.
All right, so what did you gather?
Okay, Kemini, the Ministry of Health held a press conference to brief the media actually about the results of the 12-year-old girl suspected of the Ebola virus. And it was addressed by the Minister of Health and then the Minister for Information and other committee members who are set up to look into the surveillance of this disease and then make sure that the country is safe from this Ebola outbreak. And then, Kemini, the minister has indicated that samples of the blood taken from the 12-year-old lady received from the Noguchi report says that the samples of the blood tested negative of Ebola virus and any other common viral fever. So that was the information that was given out. But meanwhile, the ministry is taking steps to ensure that they are fully in control of the program. So they've outlined some of the activities they are embarking on currently. The minister has indicated that they are going to establish 56 quarantine centers across the country. And they are also traveling across the country to make sure that they train medical staff to be able to detect any suspected case that are going to be reported to the hospitals. And they've also made sure that the entry points, the various entry points are also well protected. And so the ministry is saying that any suspected case should be reported to the Director of Public Health, Dr. Joseph Amankwa, who is the spokesperson on this particular issue, and that they are going to make sure that education is intensified. And the country representative for the WHO has also indicated that they are not recommending any restriction on trade or movement across borders, and they are sure that the situation is under control. Kemini.
And so what did they tell you caused the death of this child, this external
they said that they are
hemorrhage?
still investigating, but because the samples were specifically taken for this Ebola case, that was what was first tested for, and it tested negative. So they are still investigating what actually caused the death of this lady, and they are going to make sure that they are going to give us up-to-date information of whatever comes out of that samples that was taken, and they are going to make sure that there are going to be weekly reports as well on the situation.
I see. Thank you very much, Yafusua Jimfi joined us with an update on the Ebola virus case here in Ghana. But we understand that it's not Ebola after all. But we'll bring you more in subsequent broadcasts. Let's move on to something else. And the shooting to death of one person in the Gbing Babong in the East Mamprusi district of the Northern region last week led to violent clashes between Tambosus and Bimobus. Assembly member for the area, Newmon Colon, last Friday told Joynews of violent exchanges between members of the two farming communities. According to him, the deceased person suspected to be a Bimoba was shot Thursday dawn. He said the Bimobus in anger went to attack the Tambosus community late yesterday, who then retaliated. The violent clashes have led to severe injuries, and several houses have also been burnt. Security has since been beefed up in the area, and I've been joined over the telephone by Adam Imoro, his DCE for East Mamprusi. Hello, Adam. Hello, Adam. Adam, give us a quick update of the security situation in your district. Hello, Adam.
I'm listening, please.
I'm asking you, tell us what's happening in your district as far as security is concerned.
Yeah, in fact, the security people have been able to now take control of the place, and the system is calm.
I see.
They are all over, they are on patrols, and we have mounted barriers and there are zero checkpoints.
Have we been able to deal with the cause of the violence in the first place?
Yeah, you know, in conflict resolution, one thing is to cease fire and the other thing is to resolve it. So what we are doing now is to ensure that the fire is ceased. And that's together with RESEC is actually working out modalities to make sure that the core problem that is causing this conflict is solved once and for all.
How long are we going to see the security men in the neighborhood?
Pardon?
How long are we going to see the security personnel patrol the neighborhood?
We cannot tell now. We cannot tell now until we are able to sustain what we have been achieved. If we are able to sustain what we have been able to achieve, then we can tell when the security will leave the place. For now, we cannot talk about that.
You also tell us how DISEC and RESEC is going to meet over this matter and come up with some measures in curtailing the root cause of the matter. Tell us when we are going to see some of these meetings take place.
No, it's not just meeting as such, but these are, the measure we are putting in place is to make sure that it is fire. That is what we have done now, and this is what we are trying to sustain.
Well, which you said it was just one part of the conflict resolution process. The other is for DISEC and RESEC to come up with some other measures in curtailing the root cause of the matter. Now, the question I'm asking is, when are we going to see those measures?
You know, when you are able to take the first step, achieve you are able to sustain it. That is where you talk about the second step.
I see.
What we are doing now is to seize fire. If we are able to seize a fire and we are able to sustain it, then we now move the other steps to make sure that we resolve the problem completely. So for now, I can only talk about measures that are put in place to seize fire in the area.
I see. We'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Adam Imoro is DCE for East Mamprasi. Let's get on to something less tense. And are you tired of paying rent and eagerly waiting to build your own house? Well, the good news is that you could own a single room with just as little as 350 Ghana cedis. Now that I have your attention, all you need to do is relocate to Atani in the Bunahafo region and get yourself a single room mud house. Here's a report by Jojo Kobina.
Atani is located in the Tyne district of the Brongahafo region. Here there is no housing deficit, no real estate agents needed, just communal help and little money. George Lange is 17. He is the reason why friends and family have gathered to build this room. After this room is completed, he will move away from his parents' house, and the next step in his life is to find a wife. With free clay, children who are eager to provide labor, and a clay craftsman, this house will be completed in less than a month. This is because 2 to 3 days interval is needed to allow the clay to dry before construction continues. It may seem easy, but it takes great skills to get it right. Tiredness sets in, and they pause to refuel before getting back to work. Roofing and plastering will cost 250 Ghana cedis. Land will cost 50 Ghana cedis. Carpenter and mason will charge 50 Ghana cedis.
When you say we will be plaster, we use cement base 6 bags and 7 bags. That's not what you use. There is a ceiling need and count, ceiling need the obey ceiling the ever cost. We are senior me boss we are me plaster no. Into me person me best but my next month na be sim no. And in the end me be
People who live in mud houses say, apart from the low cost of building, the rooms are also very cool, especially at night. You may have concerns about the robustness of mud houses, but the people who live in them will lessen your fears. George has plans of painting the house and decorating it.
What would you walk 26 kilometers for? A movie, fun, or perhaps if you're less active, you would not want to walk that far. Some children in the Afram Plains South District have to walk 26 kilometers to get an education. Some of these children and their families have been forced to find a way out.
It's a Sunday and residents are either in church or resting. The communities are far in between, but we are trying to reach Wenamda, 26 kilometers from the main town. It's a bush path and quite a distance. 9 kilometers into our journey, we found the school. It is 16th March 2014. The last time this school was in session was 4th March 2014. So we went 3 kilometers further in search of the teacher, and we found him celebrating Mass with residents. He's actually the catechist of the Catholic Church, which somehow explains why the school was on break for 8 days.
There was a teacher here, and that teacher died. From that, about 3 years, we didn't see any teacher here again. But we see the need for the children to have education. So I volunteered to be helping them in the school year. Okay. The 4th was on Tuesday, and Wednesday I have to go to market. So I went to the market, and the following day was 5th March. We couldn't come. And the next day, Friday, was a 5th March holiday. So just last Monday, and Tuesday I have to go to Karakis meeting at Samanshia. After the Karakis meeting, we were to go to Karakis Lenten retreat at Dongokrum. So I just came yesterday.
Some of the children have to walk either 12 or 26 kilometers to regular school. Those who walk 12 kilometers attend the school in Krantinkrachi. Those who walk for 26 kilometers have a reason for avoiding the school in Krantinkrachi.
Teachers for number in a school and do I'm going to Dokrum to go to school, but the reason this school is not good.
The teachers are not coming, and here is to his village, so we cannot stay here and go to school. Sundays we live here. The school here is bad, so we have to walk. If Father Stephen does not come, we walk. So if I walk to Donkokrom, I stay with my sister. So Monday morning I wake up and go to school.
Father Stephen is always a welcome sight in these communities, as it means less walking and less stress. And after a 14-kilometer drive, they are ready to get down. Tuesday morning, we were back to check on the school in Krantinkrachi. As at 10 a.m., there was only one of 4 teachers in the school. A second teacher was on maternity leave, and a third teacher, the pupils were sure would show up because he's usually punctual. He arrived at 11 a.m. and classes started.
I was here as a youth employment teacher, but later we we were recruited under the GS. KG1, KG2 and the P1, they are all in one class. But in the GS regulations, P1 and then P6, the students combine. They are not supposed to combine them because that's the transitional class. But here is the case that we are not many, so we need to combine them so that we can let the children stay.
The 4th teacher had not communicated to pupils or co-teachers. No one knew where he was. So a pupil's attempt to motivate him went to waste. They tried to make the best of the day.
D-B.
D-B. Obviously D-B. Dog.
Dog. D-O-D. Dog.
You. Obviously dog. You find you.
Abila.
At this rate, it is not possible to tell when or if MDG-2A, which is to ensure that by 2015, children everywhere, boys and girls alike, will be able to complete a full course of primary schooling, will be achieved.
Now, the Trades Union Congress is angry at proposed austerity measures which will see the salaries of public sector workers remain the same as government hopes to cut spending and deal with the ballooning budget deficit. The measures were contained in a policy statement on Ghana's economy presented by the Minister of Finance, to Parliament last week. In particular, the TUC says it finds it strange the government is considering a freeze on pay increases for workers this year. A statement signed by TUC General Secretary Kofi Samoa in reaction to TECWE's presentation to Parliament on April 1 also insisted that single spine pay policy, a payment structure for public sector workers, is not the cause of the country's economic challenges. TUC General Secretary Kofi Samoa has joined us over the telephone to elaborate on this. And thank you very much, Kofi, for joining us here.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. But the TUC finds this move strange. Elaborate on that.
Okay, we TUC and together with other members of the organized labor have been meeting over the economic developments in the country for some time now. And let me state that we identify ourselves, we acknowledge the challenges that the Ghana's economy is going through. We equally acknowledge that the challenge facing the economy requires structural transformation, both in the long term, short to long term, and various elements have been, various measures have been put in place by government towards solving the problem. And you may recall that over the period has been the removal of subsidies on fuel and utilities. To understand that an automatic adjustment formula is applicable to fuel, and then also there's an increase of VAT from 15% to 17.5%. This has also led to high and ever increasing inflation, which is now 14%. You are also aware of the currency depreciation. All these, in sum total, has brought about hardships to the people of this country. And the minister was mentioned in Parliament to have stated that he's advocating for a moratorium on wages and salaries for public sector, or a freeze on public sector for this year. And we are in total disagreement with that, because if inflation is 14%, what it means is that the purchasing power of workers and the public generally has been reduced by 14%. So for us to stay at the same level of increases, we think is unacceptable to us. Of course, we also say that the single spine has been earmarked as the sole cause of the problems we have in the country for now. We concede that there has been some substantial increase in public sector pay in terms of the total sum of money paid to the public sector workers. But we very much think that it cannot be said to be the only problem that the nation is facing for now. So yes, we can collectively show support in the increase, the kind of measures put in place. But we think the measures are too harsh, and to add up to say that there will be no increases at all in 2014 is not acceptable.
The other argument is being productivity from labor. And hence, if labor is not productive enough to generate revenue, then you can have that.
How do you assess that? Productivity is not only a matter for labor. When we have what is called total factor productivity, we have what the employer provides or what the employer does. We have what the government do, and then what worker also do. The sum total is what will bring about total factor productivity. We shouldn't raise productivity as if it's only labor productivity. I agree with you that sometimes workers may find themselves not putting up their best to work. And we do encourage workers at all times to ensure that they maximize their productivity. But then we have almost always agreed that it's about time we speak productivity from a very scientific base. Because when people go to work, they work under supervision. They work under some systems. And if the systems are working very well, there's no way anybody can show lassity or will not work as expected. So yes, we are very much committed to productivity as workers. We know that it's only when we maximize productivity that our fair share of the cake will also be big. But what I'm drawing home is that productivity is not only labor productivity. We have agreed with government that it's about time we put in measures to really measure or to put in appropriate factors to measure productivity. And where productivity
what are some of these measures you have suggested to government?
No, it cannot be just said in the open as it were. I'm saying that it is only when all the social partners are living up to expectation that we can talk about productivity, be it at the workplace, at the sector level, or the national level.
But as
people
it stands now,
through productivity to mean only labor productivity. When you want to maximize productivity, there is the role that government plays, there is the role that employer plays, there is the role that workers play. It's only when all of us are playing our respective roles then we can talk about maximizing productivity. Unfortunately, people always talk about productivity as if it's workers' problem alone.
Very well.
But then I'm saying that as workers, we very much place premium on maximizing productivity.
Brother Kofi, we get that point. How well is labor? How well is
it depends on the structure and the system at your workplace. For instance, if you go to work and you have nothing to work with, if you don't even have the equipment to work with, how can you become productive? If you go work at a place and the systems are not in place, areas where people talk about productivity, systems are in place. And that is why I'm saying that you cannot just hold one aspect of it. We have to work. I agree that this country would have to move forward, and if it will move forward, we have to maximize productivity. But I am only raising the question that the way you ask the question, it will perceive productivity and lack of it is only an issue for workers. It has so many factors that should be put into play to ensuring that we maximize productivity. And we are prepared to do our hours. For instance, if you are at a workplace where you are not offered any training and retraining, how do you maximize productivity? How do you deal with new terms of working when you are not offered training and retraining? So productivity matters are really good, and it should not be tackled the way you pose your question.
Then maybe if we haven't had that holistic productivity, then
that is the point. I'm saying that, for instance.
Brother Kofi, if you could let me make my point. Yes. What I'm driving at is, if we haven't had that collective productivity, then perhaps indeed government has not got the revenue to increase salaries as the years go by, isn't it?
I'm saying that productivity is not only salaries. The point I'm making is that salary motivation can be one aspect. But I'm saying that each time we talk about productivity, we talk about productivity as if it's only labor productivity. Productivity, if Joy FM would have to, or Multi TV want to maximize productivity, So it is a total factor thing. So many things have to be done, including the work system. How even you do your work, the tools to work with, training and retraining, supervision, and several other things goes into determining maximized productivity. And we need to talk about it properly than just talking about labor productivity.
Right. April 1 is not the first or second time the Minister of Finance has spoken about a freeze on, has proposed a freeze on salaries for public sector workers. Is the TUC or organized labor going to do anything in this effect anytime soon?
Come again.
I'm saying April 1, when the minister was in Parliament on April 1, 2014, it wasn't the first time he was talking about a proposal to freeze the salaries of public sector workers. The question I'm asking is, the TUC obviously is unhappy about it, but are you doing anything in that regard to make sure that, indeed, we don't see that happening?
No, we are only saying that it will not happen. It will not. It's not acceptable to us. We can't have a wage freeze. If you are under this situation and the economic challenges that we're going through, inflation at this level, all the harsh measures that have been put in place, there's no way you can talk about wage freeze.
I see. Thank you very much, Kofi. Kofi Asamoah is Secretary General for the Trades Union Congress. This is News Today. There's more news ahead. Don't go away. You're watching News Today. In business, the Volta River Authority, led by its Chief Executive Engineer Kirk Kofi, has begun discussions with other gas suppliers in Nigeria to secure more of the field via the West African gas pipeline to ease current troubles with power generation. The discussions, according to Samuel Fletcher, VR's communications manager, are far advanced and pricing of the commodities now being determined. Supply of gas from end gas has fallen from the expected 120 million cubic feet contractual volume to 50 million cubic feet last month. This, coupled with maintenance and expansion works in some thermal plants at Abuaze, created an electricity shortfall of 300 megawatts in the national grid. Total peak demand is now about 1,950 megawatts, while power producers are able to supply 1,839 megawatts to the grid, creating a deficit of about 111 megawatts. Now, Barclays has agreed to sell its retail banking arm in the United Arab Emirates to Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank. Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank is paying £107 million, about $177 million for the business, which has 110,000 customers. Most of those are expatriate workers. Customers who move to ADIB will have to switch to finance schemes that are compliant with Islamic rules, which do not allow interest payments. Barclays says the deal will allow it to focus on its corporate and investment banking operations in the region. In February, Barclays Chief Executive Anthony Jenkins announced the result of a strategic review which looked at the company's 75 business units. That's just for the money segment. Let's get some sports action after this with Baba Tando.
Now, just before I take leave of you, Board of Directors of Accra Hearts of Oak will later on in this week meet to decide on the fate of beleaguered coach Mohamed Polo after the club's managing director expressed his doubts over the managerial capabilities of the coach. Now, Neil Armstrong sent a text message to certain board members of the club expressing dissatisfaction with the technical abilities of the trainer, and a section of the text message read, "I think it's time we take a critical decision on Mohamed Polo." So we'll bring you up to speed on all the proceedings that would happen, or all the proceedings that will come up later in Accra Hearts of Oak. My name is Baba Tando. Sports on News Today is brought to you by the kind courtesy of Cowbell. Good afternoon.
Thanks very much for staying on. And in entertainment, dancehall sensation Shatta Wale has been presented a plaque of honor by Entertainment Ghana, an online entertainment publication, for winning the Artist of the Year. The artist won the most votes in the poll put together by the online publisher.
now, as he has been named the Artist of the Year by the Entertainment Ghana. According to them, Shatta Wale won the most votes after a poll with its nearly 75,000 members. Shatta Wale emerged as the most popular, thus won the Artist of the Year. Whilst on stage performing at his welcome party at Trade Fair, Shatta Wale had the surprise of his life when award-winning actor and brand ambassador to Entertainment Ghana, Kofi Ajololo, mounted the stage to present him the award. Ajololo expressed his admiration for Shatta Wale. Team Shatta, however, believes this is just the beginning, as the focus is on the Enviable Artist of the Year category at the VGMAs 2014.
Elsewhere, Mikey Rooney, the child actor who became the world's top box office star, has died aged 93. Born in Brooklyn, he began his career aged 18 months in his parents' vaudeville act, You and Carter, and never really retired. By 1965, Mikey's 200 films had earned more than $3 billion around the world. Sir Laurence Olivier once referred to him as the greatest film actor America's ever produced. Rooney's death was first reported by U.S. entertainment magazine Variety. The actor is said to have been ill for some time. Thank you very much for staying through. A quick recap of our headlines. Health officials hold meeting as Noguchi Institute for Medical Research conducts investigation to determine if the death of a child at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital was from Ebola. Volta River Authority starts discussions with other gas suppliers in Nigeria to secure more of the field via the West African gas pipeline to ease current troubles with power generation. More news on myjoyonline.com. Thank you very much for staying through. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amano. Goodbye.